Welcome to Minds and Money Pitch Battle. And here we are, the exciting part of the online presentations. We have 4 contestants today and 4 judges, and we are going to find out who gets that $1 million. Now, the judges are allowed to award half and half. So $500,000 for one company and $500,000 for another. Our contestants today, in the order which they will be presented: Sarah Armstrong of Cordoba Minerals, Michael Wood of Reyna Gold, Luke Alexander of, Newcore Gold, and Alan Carter of Cabral Gold. And our judges for today are Carolyn Donnelly with Sprott Streaming and Royalty, Robert Dixie with Dundee Corporation, Simon Popple with Brookville Capital Limited, and Miranda Werstiuk of OCIM. All right, so here's how it goes. Each presenter will have 3 minutes. There will be a 7-minute question period afterwards. At the end of it all, we'll wrap it up by finding out who and why each judge has awarded the funds to. Our first contestant, Sarah Armstrong, Sprott Streaming and Royalty. The floor is yours, Sarah.
The faster we can collectively get to a place where our next generation can enjoy the benefits of an electrified world, it is one less problem we have to worry about. And whilst I won't elaborate on the countless metrics that support the positive outlook on copper, I would like to remind you all that we have been and still remain fundamentally underinvested in exploration as an industry. We need to work together to make up for this lost time, as it takes on average anywhere between 15 and 20 years to bring a mining project online. Cordoba Minerals is part of the Ivanhoe Group led by Robert Friedland, and it is no secret that he is a huge advocate for this industry to focus on delivering sustainable strategic metals to support the electrification of the planet. We're a copper gold developer with district scale exploration potential listed on both the TSXV and the OTC. We have 2 copper projects in our portfolio, the San Matias project in Colombia, which is our flagship project, and the Perseverance project in Arizona. Importantly, Colombia was ranked #1 for mining investment in Latin America by the Fraser Institute in 2021 and has an extremely stable legislative framework and a government that encourages and supports foreign investment. We announced the results of our pre-feasibility study in January of this year, outlining a robust project with $415 million after-tax NPV. That was using $360 for copper and $1,650 for gold. So obviously with copper and gold prices today, those numbers look a lot more attractive. It's a large open pit operation with a probable reserve of 102 million tons containing 70% copper, 27% gold and 3% silver, with a 13-year life of mine and 22,000 tons per day throughput. Whilst this is a modest sized project on a global scale, it is significant for Colombia, and it's something that we can realistically have in production within 4 years. There is existing infrastructure in the project area with 2 operating open pit mines nearby, which also means we're in a very mining friendly jurisdiction with both community and local government support. We have potential to add more tonnage and improve grades with 40,000 meter infill drilling program, which will take place in the feasibility stage, as well as additional trade-off studies. We have a massive exploration land package of 150 kilometers of granted titles and a further 900 kilometers under application. We also have this unquantifiable gold in high-grade gold veins at the Alacran deposit, with the best historical drilling intercept of 4,400 grams per ton in 2017. The nugget effect of these gold veins makes them hard to trace or predict, so they've been excluded from the PEA and the PFS, but we do keep intercepting them, which means there's more gold in the deposit than predicted. This project has been declared a project of national interest by the Colombian government, and we have filed the first of 2 permits required to build and operate the mine in November of 2021. The second permit is underway, which is the environmental impact assessment study, and will be supported by the feasibility study. We also have a very strong ESG focus with on-the-ground permanent teams and a range of social initiatives, including a team dedicated to legalizing artisanal miners. In summary, failing supply and growing demand for copper will undeniably lead to increased copper prices worldwide, and it's estimated that the world will have a shortage by 2030. This is where a project like San Matias, with its existing discovery and enormous exploration potential, has a lot of value. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. For our panel, I'm going to start with Carolyn Donnelly. Carolyn Donnelly, what questions do you have for Sarah?
Well, thank you, Alvaro, and hi there, Sarah.
Hi.
I'm curious to know as to what sort of catalysts you see between now and getting into production, and what you expect that to do to the share price.
Sorry, what sort of what? I didn't hear the question.
Catalysts.
Okay. Look, I think we as I mentioned, we have been declared a project of national interest, so we do have excellent government support, and we'll also get sort of a push through on permitting, or faster timing is what I would say. I think one of the upcoming concerns may be elections here in Colombia. We've seen the direction in which other Latin American countries are going. We're not sure which way yet, but that is something that may impede it. But we've found nothing in this project so far that would stop us from getting into production. We have a very strong social focus, and we do have 12 communities within the area of interest, and we will have to relocate 3 of them. I think that's something that definitely requires a lot of work. As I mentioned, we have support from the communities. There is no opposition to the mine. There is no opposition to being relocated. But I definitely think that is a lot of work there, and we anticipate reaching agreements within the next 18 months. And we would relocate those communities once we have the project licensed. So we expect to have the first license of those 2 permits that are required within the next couple of months. And then we'll be filing for the EIA in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah, thank you.
Robert, you have a question for Sarah?
Hi, Sarah. Just we're all aware we all live in a massively inflationary world that we live in right now. I think the capex for the project is somewhere around 400 to 500 in that range. Can you just speak to what it might look like? I mean, to the extent that you can. What do you see on that? And then I guess a separate question, but also more of an information question. Can you just speak to the ownership structure with Robert's company, because I think that's relevant. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. So our initial capex that's required is about 435 million, with 88 sustaining and about 67 for closure. Initially, when we designed this, when we did the PEA, we really focused on a lower capex. Market conditions weren't great, and we announced that in 2019. And so we started off with a lower throughput, and that was 8,000 tons per day, getting to 16,000 tons per day by year 6. Market conditions changed in our favor, we believe, and so with further studies, we decided to do 22,000 tons straight out the gate. It hasn't really changed a lot in the overall costs. We just hit a lot of that in expansion capital in the PEA stage. That is there is a 2.2-year payback period on that. But one of the other things is, we started the pre-feasibility study and the PTO, which is the plan of technical works, which is that first permit required in Colombia, in January of 2020. And by March of 2020, the whole world had shut down. So we only had access to site for 9 months during a 2-year period. And we had to sacrifice everything that wasn't mission critical to filing that PTO. So the PTO is the equivalent of a pre-feasibility study, which is why we did the pre-feasibility study. And therefore, a lot of the studies that we would normally typically have in a PFS have had to be passed over to the feasibility stage. Therefore, there's still quite a lot of, excuse me, upside. And I think that there could be more potential in this project. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
And
Simon.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm actually just very quickly bringing some of those 2 points together. Obviously, we know what's happened in Chile, and whether or not that happens, I think is sort of up in the air. Your capex number to get into production for a copper project is relatively low. Do you see any investors from within Colombia? Because that may help politically if there's some Colombian money going into a project rather than money from outside Colombia.
Look, on the public market, not a lot. However, what I can say, without going into too much detail, is we have actually been having discussions about bringing in a strategic partner, and they are Colombian. They're a company that's in production here in Colombia, and we've got quite advanced conversations with them. So I think that's sort of positive about the future of the project and how we'll manage the political situation going forward.
Okay, thanks.
That leaves us time for Miranda to have one quick question.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to follow up on Rob's question about your structure within the IMO
Sure.
group of companies. Yeah.
Sure. So the structure at the moment, we have two main shareholders. One is Ivanhoe Electric, which is led and founded by Robert Friedland, and he has 66% of the company. And the second one are our Chinese partners. They're an EPCM contractor, JCHX, and they have 19.9%. I think importantly here, it was never the intention of Ivanhoe Electric or its predecessor HBX to get to such a large shareholding. Robert continually supported the financing of this project when simply the market didn't turn up. So we were doing sort of fundraisers, and their interest at one point got up to 80%. So we brought in the Chinese to get that back down to 60%, around that. But what it has resulted in is we've got very little liquidity. We're trading maybe 10 to 20,000 shares per day. We're all conscious of that. We're very aware that needs to change. But this shareholder structure is partly as a result of the market conditions, but also I think I can safely say that Robert Friedland also doesn't back something that he doesn't believe in. He didn't just support it financially, but he also put all of his management team into Cordoba as well.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Sarah. Great first round. You set the bar. Michael Wood, Reyna Gold. Ready when you are.
Great, thanks, Alvaro. Just share my screen. Okay, so Reyna Gold is a pretty new company. We just started trading in January this year on the TSX and just started on the OTC 2 weeks ago. We're focused on gold exploration in northwestern Mexico. We put together 4 properties consisting of 57,000 hectares on the 2 big gold trends that come down from the US into Mexico. We have what we believe is a world-class exploration team led by Dr. Peter McGall. We also have Doug Kerwin as a senior advisor. And then we've hired a strong local Mexican team under the guidance of Peter and Doug, all local Mexican geologists, all hired from the majors. We've hired geologists from Fresnillo, Agnico Eagle, Alamos Gold, and Pan American Silver. In total, we've raised $13.6 million, $10.5 million at go public financing, and previously $3.1 million as a private company. This is our capital structure today. We've got 66 million shares on issue. We're trading around 30 cents right now. The go public financing was at 40 with a half one at 65. The private money was done at 12. That is now all free trading as of today, actually. A final chunk came free trading. When we went public, we had 34% of the register in the hands of institutions. A number of shareholders that are supporters on Reyna Silver and Cassiar Gold, 2 other companies we had, came in. And we're capitalized. We're trading today at an EV of around 10 million. So I think, for people new to the story, this is a good entry point. We are moving towards releasing our initial drill results. Hopefully the week after Easter, we'll be getting our first batch of drill results. This is our property portfolio. We've got 4 properties. Our core focus is La Gloria, which is on the Mojave Sonora Megashire, 24,000 hectare property. This is where we're drilling right now. We also have El Durazno, 24,000 hectare property on Sierra Madre Gold and Silver Belt, and then 2 smaller properties around 4,000 hectares each. This is La Gloria property, the core focus of the company for now, where we're drilling. We've just finished drilling in what we call the main zone. We put in 14 holes here and just started out in El Sombrero. The board has approved an initial 10,000 meter drill program. And this initial stint is around 3,000 meters, around 22 holes initially. These are some surface samples we put out when we started trading. You can see we're finding a lot of high-grade gold at surface, up to 93 grams per ton from a quartz vein, and multiple samples above 20 grams, which was great to see. And now hopefully follow up with some good initial intercepts from the initial drilling. These are the initial drill targets we released when we started our drill program in the middle of February. The first 22 holes around 3,000 meters. The intention is then to keep the rig on site. We will kind of be data dependent depending on these initial results and follow up on good results. But we've already identified over 20,000 meters of drill targets on the property among 5 of the target areas, 5 of the 11 target areas. This is a bit of mineral alteration work we've had done and really kind of shows the extent of the targets we have on this property. 24,000 hectare property. And as you can see, we're finding alterations really all over the property. These are alterations associated with orogenic gold. So this is great to see and produced a lot of follow-up work. The team is doing a lot of work in the northern part of the property on the back of this work, up here, what we call Republicana in Western, which is kind of covered. This is kind of covered part of the property by the Sonoran Desert. So just to wrap up, 10,000 meter drill program underway, about 3,000 meters.
All right, Michael.
We're gonna have to, and yeah, okay.
we'll have to go to questions, and hopefully you get to finish through the questions. Excellent. All right, Miranda, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, Michael, can you talk a little bit about community, your ESG strategy. I know it's early days, but in order to make projects work, that has to be ingrained out of the gate. Can you talk to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we've hired a lot of people from the community. All the helpers for the geological team are locals, part of the local ejido. So we've got good relations with the local ejido. We've hired a lot of, all the helpers for the geologists are local ejido. So yeah, we're hiring from the community. We're building the community relations from day one. A lot of the geologists, our VP of Exploration is from the area, knows a lot of the local people personally, has them for a long time. And he really highlighted the project to Peter and the technical team. So yeah, that's definitely important. Completely agree, Miranda. And we've done that right out the gate.
Great, thank you.
Simon.
Yeah, sorry if I missed this, Michael, but do you have a formal resource on this yet, or are you just working towards that?
Yeah, no, we don't, Simon. There was a very small, it was the core part of the property main zone was owned by a company called High Vista Gold in the 2000s. They put in a small historic resource of about 40,000 ounces at 0.7, but yeah, we don't have a formal resource. We're really expanding out from that what they did. And yeah, no formal resource at this stage. We're just about to get our initial batch of drill results. There were about 13,000 meters drilled by High Vista back in the 2000s.
Okay, thanks.
Rob.
So just quickly on the drilling, there's a lot of historic workings there from what I can see. Is that going to be your guiding light in terms of exploration? I mean, obviously you got a real heavyweight bench there with geologic, brains and so forth. I guess to the extent you can comment on I guess between sort of chasing up the historic stuff and then to the extent that the geos that you have, what are they thinking is there, and can maybe just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we're kind of going on the easy targets, the outcropping and the mineralization at surface. There's some geophysics, particularly down in the Alvaro area, that we're using for the initial targeting. And the intention, I think, is when we get the initial results back from the main zone, the southern part of the main zone particularly, we'll then start to geophysics, hopefully to show extensions out of that main zone under the cover. So we've gone for the easy targets at first, where we've got outcropping veins, veinlets at surface. Then we want to start getting back some assays, then follow up with other procedures. So yeah, a lot of historic workings. We're finding, interesting stuff around that. Actually, we just found a team. We had a technical call today. The team was saying now we found a working down as deep as 50 meters, which from the old time shows they were getting good grade to be going down so deep. So yeah, there's a good guide, and then stuff at surface initially is the targeting.
Thank you.
Excellent. And Caroline.
Yeah. So, Michael, what are the next steps after this drill program that you're doing? What do you see the company doing for the next, say, 18 to 24 months?
Well, I think most likely we'll keep drilling after this 10,000. I mean, we're in a position we could easily do 20,000 with cash we have in the company today. So if we're getting the kind of results we're hoping for, I think, yeah, we'll keep the drill returning. I mean, what we'd love to do is, really sort of find some good economic deposits that we can really hone in on. But as you see, it's a big property. We really want to drill in multiple parts. We want to come down to La Quintas. We get some interesting targets there. I think we're going to get some interesting targets up at Republicana, Western. So really, exploration, Caroline, I think, we want to find some good targets. I think multiple targets can be found. And then, we'll start to hopefully move towards doing a deposit and some economic studies, kind of probably, within, I would say not within the first 12 months, but maybe, within 18 months, we start moving towards exactly putting some economic studies around the exploration work.
All right,
Sorry,
and
Michael,
we still.
sorry, just quickly,
Yep.
how much cash do you have on hand? Sorry, just remind me. I know you said how much cash.
We
do
have
you
about 10
currently?
million Canadian
Okay.
today. Yeah.
Okay, and that's enough to get you through. You said you could easily do your 10,000 meters, and then you could push it to 20 if needed. Yeah, okay.
It's about 1.8 million US for 10,000 meters where we're operating in Sonora.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
We still have some
Okay.
time for a couple more questions. So, Rob.
Just kind of related to the ESG, that part of Mexico is pretty storied in terms of, security issues and so forth. Can you just comment on that to the extent you can?
Yeah, sure. No security issues for us. And really, we're on an area called the Caborca Gold Belt. Fresnillo have 3 operating gold mines within 50 kilometers of Gloria. Alamos were operating the El Chinale mine literally 2 kilometers south of us until I think 2020 it got mined out. So it's really a mining part of town. Yeah, no issues for us. You know, we definitely have good relations with the locals. And yeah, it's really, not only is it gold, there's quite a few copper mines as well in the area. So a lot of mining in this part of Sonora. So I think, you know, we're not so, we don't have the problems that other parts of Mexico have from that aspect.
Thank you.
Sure.
Simon, Caroline, last questions?
My question was about security as well. I've been watching too many Narcos episodes, so
Yeah, I think we're on the same page on that
yeah.
one.
We're going to have a site visit in October if you want to come. I'll invite, everyone's welcome. We can come down and see. It's not that bad.
Cool.
And Caroline, do you have anything?
No, nothing further from me. Thank you. I had the benefit of talking to Michael yesterday.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to go on to our next contestant. You're going to see that my hand gets raised here. That just pops me up to the top left-hand corner so that the presenters can clearly see when their time is running out. So, Luke Alexander, Newcore Gold, you're up.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'll just get the presentation loaded up here. You should be able to see that now. Yeah, thanks. So I'm Luke Alexander, President and CEO of Newcore Gold. I spent the first 15 years of my career on the investment banking side of the business, 12 years in London, covering all the big global natural resource funds, advising different ASX, TSX, London listed mining companies. One of the things that I learned throughout that period is that ultimately you need three things to make a successful company. You need a great asset, you need a proven management team, and you ultimately need capital market support. And at Newcore, we're very fortunate to have all of those things. Starting with the asset, we're sitting on a prolific gold belt in Ghana with great neighbors along trend from us. This truly is elephant country, and Ghana is a great country to be operating in. Africa's largest gold producer. You've also got Newmont investing an additional $800 million into the country, which will take them to 20% of their global production. I think that speaks for itself. Our Enchi project is a district scale exploration project. We do sit on a 1.4 million ounce 43-101 inferred reserve. And then we also, or resource, we also have a PEA which underpins the fundamental value. But really the focus for us is on the district scale exploration. When we kicked off this program, we wanted to accomplish four things, and we have been doing that. We wanted to extend the existing resource areas along strike. All of them remain open along strike. We wanted to go back to previously drill tested areas, which we've been doing. We also recently announced 3 new discoveries on the project. And then lastly, we wanted to start to make some high grade discoveries at depth. When you look at these greenstone hosted deposits along the Sefwi-Bibiani belt, including Kinross's Chirano mine to the north of us, where you really see them grow in size and increase in grade is as you start to drill deeper. For the first time ever, as part of this 90,000 meter program, we're starting to drill below 150 meters, and we've been getting some very good results, up to 95 grams per ton. In various areas, we've started to identify these high grade shoots. So that complements all of the other drilling that we're doing. But at the end of the day, you can have the greatest asset in the world, but if you don't have support from the capital markets, then that puts you in a really tough place. We're very fortunate to have great tier 1 institutional shareholders, 40% owned by institutions at the moment, but also management is truly aligned through our 27% ownership in the business. So we ultimately think as shareholders first when we're making decisions. We run the company for a very low G&A as a result. And then we also have great capital market support. We currently have 5 tier 1 investment banks covering us from a research perspective. Oh, you're
on the nose, Luke.
there.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. And we are going to go back to questions now. Sarah, let's kick it off with you. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Caroline, let's kick it off with you.
Luke, I'm trying to find you on my screen. What are the company's plans for the next 18 months or so?
We've kind of committed to continuing to put lots of drill results out to the market. If you look at since we kicked off the drill program, we've been releasing results on a monthly basis. So we will continue to do that. We're also in the process of doing a lot of met work to complement met work that we've done in the past, a number of column tests. So we'll get that out in the next number of months. And then we're targeting getting a resource update done at the end of this year, targeting Q4. As I mentioned, we currently have a 1.4 million ounce inferred resource, primarily within the oxides. And we're looking to get that updated, obviously, with all the additional drilling that we're doing.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Dixon.
Quick questions. One, how deep have you drilled down to is really my question in terms of where the resource that you currently have lies?
So the average vertical depth of our current 1.4 million ounces is only down to 63 meters. So we've really still just scratched the surface. About 85% of that 1.4 million ounces sits within the oxide and transitional zones. So this really is a heap leach project, and that was what we outlined in the PEA that we released in June of last year, was a very simple open pit heap leach project with very robust economics. So 63 meters is the average vertical depth to date.
And final one is just in terms of your analogy to Chirano, are you guys going to chase those shears at depth, basically?
Yeah, so of the 90,000 meters, we've allocated about 15,000 meters to starting to drill below 150 meters. And we've had some very encouraging results. At one of our deposits, Niam, we think we've now identified 2 high-grade shoots that look, very similar to what we see along the Sefwi Bibiani belt in terms of, the extension at depth of higher grades. You ask about Chirano. When they originally were exploring, they were looking at 13 open pit mines. And then as they started to drill deeper, they've really extended the life of that project, are now mining down at 800 meters, are drilling down at 1.2 to 1.3 kilometers. So we've right now drilled down to about 300 meters maximum depth, and again have started to tap into some of these high grade feeder zones.
Thank you.
Simon.
Yeah, you say heap leach is your probably preferred processing method, can you give me some? I mean, obviously that's very cost effective. I must say I didn't pay a huge amount of attention to the grades, but I kind of got the feeling that they were pretty good for an oxide ore. Could you give me some idea of the capex and the timeline to kind of take you into production using heap leach?
Yeah, good question. And so we've got a 30-page dedicated PEA deck on our website, which goes into a huge amount of detail if people are interested. But the economics for what we outlined at a $1,850 gold price is $97 million of capex. So to your point about, yes, these are very low capital projects. We've got a life of mine production of about 95,000 ounces. The NPV at an $1,850 gold price is $302 million. After tax IRR is 54% with roughly a 2-year payback. So yes, very robust economics for that project.
Thanks. And the capex of 97, how much? What's your kind of timeline to get to production?
Well, one of the reasons that we talk about the district scale upside of this project is that, and the reason we're drilling 90,000 meters is that there's a huge amount of exploration upside here. We anticipate putting out a much larger resource at the end of the year. And really the motivation for doing that is on the back of a larger resource to outline an even larger, more robust project. It's important to remember that we really only relaunched this company about 18 months ago. So we're really just getting getting back into it. This 90,000 meter program is the largest ever drill program on this project. It's going to more than double the RC and diamond drilling that's historically ever been done here. And as a result, you know, we think we're going to have a resource that will improve the overall economics of the project and will also, you know, improve the overall production profile. What we've got today is great. 100,000 ounces, 10.5-year mine life. You know, the NPVs and IRRs speak for themselves, but our view is that we can, you know, build off of that and grow it even bigger than what it is today.
That's
Miranda, let's finish this one up.
Yeah, hi Luke. Thanks for that. Just a quick question. You've got, you know, your resource update for year end. You've got this large drill program. Do you have the cash to do this, to execute on all this? And that sort of ties into Carolyn's point over the next 18 months. What's your cash position like?
Yeah, good question. One of the great things about obviously having deep-pocketed, long-term focused institutional investors who recognize the district scale upside of this project and the fundamental economics is that we ultimately have been very well funded from that perspective. So the way we laid out our last budget when we raised money in August of last year is we said, okay, we want to complete 90,000 meters of drilling. We took it from 66 to 90,000 meters. We also wanted to make sure we could get a resource update done, but also make sure that we've got enough cash to run the business right through all of 2022. So we're fully funded to do all of that work. The other, I think, important thing to highlight is that, again, as management and directors who own 27% of the business, our view is that getting money into the ground is where we're going to create the most value for shareholders. And as a result, we run a very low G&A, about $1.5 million Canadian is what we run our G&A at. So I think when you look at that compared to a number of other companies at a similar advanced stage with similar size drill programs, that's a very effective use of capital. So fully funded to complete all the work that I've outlined in the last 11 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Alexander. Our last contestant, Alan Carter, Cabral Gold. You're still on mute.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen here. We have a gold project in Brazil. In fact, it's an advanced gold project. As a management team, we've been involved in 5 gold discoveries in Brazil in the last 20 years or so. We sold our last company to Anfield Gold, which was rolled into Equinox. We also have an asset. In fact, we have 2 gold deposits here, which collectively contain about 1 million ounces. That resource estimate was last done in 2018. We are in northern Brazil. We're directly next door to a 2 million ounce development project that's owned by G Mining. They recently acquired in October last year their deposit from Eldorado Gold. We've made 5 gold discoveries in the last 12 to 18 months, 3 of which are new oxide blankets. So we're drilling on all those. And we have 5 rigs currently turning on site. We have a good institutional roster also. About 48% of our shareholders are institutions. I'm the largest shareholder in this. So so far I've put in $1.7 million of my own money, which for me is a giant amount of money. We're in northern Brazil. We're in the Tapajós site of the world's largest ever gold rush. There's a big regional structure that comes through here. This is our ground in pink relative to G Mining's ground in blue. That ground in blue, that area there, TZ area, will be Brazil's 3rd largest gold mine. It's going to be about 225,000 ounces. That area produced about 200,000 ounces of placer gold or informal production during the gold rush. Our area, which is right next door, produced 10 times that amount. So there's 2 million ounces produced informally. So ours is also district scale. We have a lot of upside to the resource base. We've already doubled the amount of drilling that we had back in 2018. And over the next sort of 6 to 9 months, we're going to add another 25,000 meters on top of that. The top cuts that we're dealing with on our existing resources on those 2 deposits range anywhere from 2 to 20 grams a ton. The project next door, which is going to be that big gold mine I mentioned, has a 25 gram top cut. So our top cuts are very conservative. You can see some of the drill results that we've been getting on some of these new zones in the last few months. Very encouraging. The 3 oxide blankets that we've got so far, and there are probably others within this area, obviously open up a potential pathway for us for near-term production. We're also contemplating heap leach on this. We have met work going on right now. Regional potential. These are some of the drill results we've got outside the current resource. So we've got some cracking results here. None of these drill results are included in the resource estimate. 27 meters at 6.9, 34 meters at 5.3. So multiple areas here with wide, high-grade drill intercepts. So in summary, I'm the largest shareholder in this company. We've got a track record in Brazil. We have a resource base here, which is almost 4 years out of date. An awful lot of drilling done since then. 5 new discoveries. It's district scale. There are actually 43 peripheral targets, 5 rigs turning, and we're right next door to what will soon become Brazil's third largest gold mine.
Let's move on to the questions. I'm sure the rest of your presentation will get answered through those questions. Miranda, let's start with you today.
Yeah, hi, Alan. I actually had the benefit of speaking to Alan last week, so I've got a good solid update. Alan, maybe could you talk a little more about that, the oxide potential at surface, what you see with that? We discussed it briefly last week.
Miranda, this is all surface material. It's an unconsolidated material, so it's mud and sand which is overlying the hard rock deposits that we know of. So that resource is almost entirely hard rock material from 2018. So this is from surface up to the 3 blankets of varying depths, but up to a maximum of 50 meters thick. They're blanket type things. So mining costs on this sort of material are going to be extremely low because it's mud, sand, and silt. So, and equally, the processing costs will be very low as well because Mother Nature's done all the crushing and grinding, the weathering of those gold deposits. So, and all that material in 2018 was assumed to be waste. It was material that we'd have to move anyway.
Thanks, Alan.
Simon.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, obviously it's oxide. I assume you're planning a sort of heap leach type operation or for the processing? Or... Well,
Simon, most of the gold is actually in the hard rock. These are granitic hosted zones, but within the 3 new oxide bodies, which are at surface, what we've done is we've sent about half a ton of material off to Caps Cassidy, the lab in Reyna, which is probably the preeminent lab for heap leach test work. So we should get those heap leach results in mid-May, so within the next sort of month or 5 weeks or so. The preliminary bottle roll tests were very encouraging, 91 to 97% recoveries from within 48 hours on the bottle roll. But yeah, I think the oxide material in all likelihood is going to be very amenable to heap leach.
Right. Sorry, just one other quick question. What's your infrastructure like around that deposit?
Pretty good. Obviously, we're benefiting from the G Mining's plans. There's a road in here. They're upgrading that road, putting new bridges in, widening it, et cetera, et cetera. They're also going to be bringing grid power to their site, so they're only 20 kilometers away from us. So it's improving all the time. I mean, obviously, 40 years ago, the infrastructure were not very well developed at all during the gold rush period here, but it's improved an awful lot in recent years.
Thanks,
Rob.
So Alan, 5 discoveries, that's great. I mean, just in terms of, and looking down through these results, 60 meters at 3, 40 meters at 2, you mentioned a bunch of other high grades and so forth. In terms of the 5 rigs turning and the drilling that you're currently doing, and I recognize you got a backlog to get, put on to the upcoming resource. I guess I'll ask that question first. When do you expect to have a resource, number 1, and number 2, in terms of where the focus of the drilling is now, is it sort of following up those high grades that you mentioned, or is it kind of more resource drilling around areas that you have already identified, I guess? Sorry, a lot of questions there.
Okay. So first question, Rob, we anticipate updating the global resource for this district towards the end of this year, possibly Q1. The reason I can't be completely certain about it is because the last resource was done on 2 deposits. The next resource, I'm hoping, will have 7. So in terms of where our focus is, most of our focus, which I really didn't get to in this presentation, is in drilling off the high-grade cores of the 2 existing deposits and in the 2 new hard rock discoveries. So there's a lot of high-grade material. Back in 2018 that was not included. In fact, the top cuts, as I said, were quite conservative when you compare them next to G mining. So there's 500,000 ounces high-grade material that didn't make it into the 2018 estimate. So the uncut resource back in 2018, before we did this massive amount of drilling, was actually 1.5 million ounces, a lot higher grade, but we didn't have enough drill holes into the high-grade material to define separate high-grade domains. So that's the focus. Obviously, secondary objective is to find out how much oxide material we've got here. We're certainly drilling off the 3 known blankets and looking for other ones. And there are a number, as I said, with that regional map, which was on the magnetic background there with all those high-grade results. We are also drilling some of the regional scale targets here too.
Thank you.
Caroline.
Yes. Hi there, Alan. Talk to us a little bit about the situation with water in the area. Rather than some parts of the world, I think there's a lot of it rather than a little. And then second, tell us about vegetation in the area.
Yeah, Caroline, there's a lot of water here. So we have a rainy season here between November and April. So there is a rainy season. We've drilled through the rainy season. We just drilled through the rainy season, no problems. It slows you down a little bit, but there are no big rivers here. There are small streams, but not really an issue. We don't have, we're not affected by cataclysmic flooding or anything like that. In terms of vegetation cover, so this is tropical terrain. This is much like West Africa, and many other parts of the world. So some of this area has been cleared for subsistence farming, and it's all been logged. Some of it is still forested in some parts, but we have all our permits in place to move forward. The project next door that I mentioned, G Mining's project, is also fully permitted. So it's a pretty good area to work. I think the key thing to recognize here is that we got a 12-month field season. We're not subject to a winter period where we have to shut the drills down. We drill all year round.
Great. And community relations and the size and scale of communities in the area?
Yeah, there's one community within our area. We have 36,000 hectares here, 360 square kilometers. One community, about 350 people. It's not an indigenous community. These are people that are sort of still living there from a lot of them from 30, 40 years ago when the gold rush was happening. So we have a very good community relations program. If anybody's interested, there's a whole deck on our website. We've renovated the school. We've just built a new health post. We put in a new water supply for the village, and healthcare in particular has allowed us to track the evolution of the pandemic in the area. So anybody who has an interest in that side should just jump on our website and check that out.
All right, we're down to 30 seconds for a quick last question. Anybody got something?
Cash position, Alan?
Cash position, Rob, is about 3.5 million right now. So the last financing we did was in July. It was the bought deal financing, which was done in a snap, basically less than 24 hours, and it was oversubscribed. So very strong institutional support, very good roster of institutional shareholders. And the last bought deal was led by Cormark and Stiefel and Bold Paradigm and Mackie as well.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we are at that time. Do our judges need a minute to kind of look at their notes to make their decisions? We had 4 excellent presenters today: Sarah Armstrong from Cordoba Minerals, Michael Wood from Reyna Gold, Luke Alexander from Newcore Gold, and we finished with Alan Carter of Cabral Gold. Excellent presentations by everybody. Excellent answers. Now it's time for our judges to award their virtual $1 million. And remember, you can divide it up between 2 companies. So there's 2 questions I want answered when you award the funds. One is who, and the other one is why. So we are going to start with Caroline.
Great. Well, thank you, Alvaro. I think I award my $1 million, my unfortunately fictional $1 million, to the team at Newcore Gold. I obviously have a strong attraction to the African mining continent, so a little bit of bias there. I like the fact that you have a PEA out. I like the size of the PEA. It seems eminently fundable. And then the fact that you've got lots of exploration upside, and there appear to be a number of catalysts coming out over the next 12 to 18 months, which should drive share price.
Thank you, Caroline. Mr. Dixon?
Well, I'll start by thanking everyone. It's been good. It's been really good and informative, and all the presenters have done a great job. I do think in these settings, it's a little naturally things are more biased towards companies that have resources versus pure exploration companies. It's not really, I wouldn't say totally fair in terms of where a lot of people want to put their notional million. I'm actually going to split my million. I'm going to give for some of the reasons I just mentioned. I'm going to give $500,000 to Cabral and $500,000 to Newcore. Both companies have resources. Both companies have resource updates pending, which Caroline talked about as well with Newcore. Both have seasoned teams. They're backed by good institutions. And, in both cases, you can see, I mean, there's risk for sure in every operation, but the reward is high. But the risk in terms of a resource base on both companies have gives you a bit of downside protection. And, right now they're not overly expensive either. I mean, you look at Newcore, it's I think around 60 million market cap with somewhere between 5 and 9 million of cash, and similarly a similar sort of size with Cabral gives you that. These are well beyond startup companies. They're well beyond exploration companies for the reasons that they mentioned. So I'll split my money between the two of them. And thank you to the other presenters as well. I like those stories as well, but for different reasons. So,
thanks, Robert. Simon.
To be honest, I'm in the same camp as Rob. Half to Newcore, half to Cabral. Really the same reasons. Having an existing resource sort of underpins my confidence in the project. And clearly there's huge potential with both projects, but I thought everyone did very well, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Simon. And Miranda.
Thank you all for those presentations. They were all excellent. I'm going to put my fictional million with Cabral. I really like the opportunity at hand, potentially with the oxide blankets. Again, to the points made by Carolyn, Rob, and Simon on the existing resource base, the opportunity for large projects, Cabral next door to G Mining. So that's where I'll put my money today.
All right. That gives us a hung jury. So how do you guys want to break the tie?
Rock, paper, scissors.
I think maybe let's push a little. If you had to make a choice amongst the four of you between Cabral Gold and Newcore Gold.
I think it's kind of up to Rob and Simon, right? Because they both split their.
Yeah, I think so.
Miranda and I actually made it.
Caroline are out of the loop.
Oh man. After you, Rob.
I will go with Newcore only because, and I really appreciate obviously Cabral for all the reasons I mentioned already, but it's it's just a little bit bigger right now. It's in one particular area as opposed to in multiple. Maybe again, these are sort of weak differences here, but I'll lean Newcore.
And how about you, Simon?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm Newcore as well, but simply because they've got more cash. I was just looking at my notes, and I like both projects. I think they've both got huge potential, but Newcore's got more cash than Cabral, so if they're okay over these uncertain times.
The resource is slightly bigger as well right now, so it infers it could potentially get even bigger. But again, there's not much between the pick, so yeah.
A very tightly fought race today. That was exceptional, and thank you to each of our presenters: Sarah Armstrong, Michael Wood, Luke Alexander, and Alan Carter. You guys did an amazing job of representing your companies And thank you to the judges for the excellent questions and the excellent feedback. I hope that each of the contestants was able to take away some value from your feedback and your questions. So Caroline Donnelly, Robert Dixon, Simon Popple, Miranda, Werstiuk. I got it wrong. And that wraps up our session of the battle. Thank you very much for all your participation and enjoy the rest of the conference. Hope to see you in London. Of course, thank you to Minds and Money for putting on such a great show, keeping us going through the pandemic with these great platforms that they're doing. And unlike December, I got a feeling that this coming May in London is going to be absolutely busting at the seams and really exciting to attend. So I hope to see each and every one of you there, along with all of our viewers. And that wraps it up for us.